minutes. This is a different kind of thing. So today we are going to start with. Shall I go ahead, or do you want to say anything? Alia, Vishwajit.
No, sir.
Okay, fine. So,
Sir, I wanted to tell about the screen recording.
yeah. Tell me what is that?
Sir, I told you now that the screen gets recorded, so it's only the screen that gets recorded and your audio doesn't get recorded.
Okay, audio doesn't come there. Okay, then that is of
Oh.
not useful for us. So we'll go ahead with this WebEx meeting, and it will be having 50 minutes, 10 minutes less than usual. But then I think
सर ऑडियो रिकॉर्ड होता है वी हैव टू सिलेक्ट द माइक बटन टू
okay, okay. But
मतलब
I mean,
मेरे इसमें एक ऑप्शन आता है कि रिकॉर्ड विथ माइक एंड मीडिया साउंड्स
अच्छा, तो उसमें हम लोग जैसे गूगल मीट पे अगर क्लास करते तो भी उसमें रिकॉर्डिंग हो जाएगा सारा ऑडियो एंड वीडियो।
आई थिंक सर होना तो चाहिए
अच्छा, ठीक।
सर गूगल मीट पे होता है जब स्टूडेंट ज्वाइन कर लेते तो सर ऊपर आपको ऑटोमेटिकली ऑप्शन शो होता है सर।
हाँ, नहीं, जहाँ तक मुझे पता है आपको अपने स्कूल से कुछ दिया होगा गूगल मीट का आईडी वगैरह, ऐसे दिया है क्या?
नहीं सर ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, आप खुद लिंक लिंक बना सकते हैं सर।
अच्छा, हाँ, क्योंकि मैंने उसमें सर्च किया तो उसमें वो क्या कहते हैं कि गूगल मीट पे देयर इज अ पेड ऑप्शन। उसको क्या बोलते हैं, अभी नाम मुझे याद नहीं आ रहा है। So you pay some money and then you are allowed to host the meeting that you can record. And in the free version, the recording is not available. But nevertheless, I will check it out. Otherwise, आप में से कोई भी जिसको भी लगता है ना, विश्वजीत या फिर स्वाति या अगर आपको लगता है रिकॉर्डिंग होती है, तो आप उस स्टेप्स अगर आपके पास में है ना, तो यू प्लीज सेंड दो स्टेप्स ऑन माय व्हाट्सएप सो दैट आई कैन ट्राई इट वंस। ठीक है ना?
Okay, sir. Okay.
I will send sir.
हाँ, विश्वजीत, don't strain your eyes too much. If it is possible for you, you send. Otherwise, it's okay. We'll manage. No problem. हाँ,
यस सर
हाँ।
सर मैं तो वैसे भी सुनता ही चूस रहे हो
हाँ, ठीक है ना, कोई बात नहीं। मतलब नहीं नहीं, वो जो मैं लिंक कैसे करना है भेजने के लिए बोल रहा हूँ ना, उसके लिए ज्यादा स्ट्रेन मत करना अपने आईज को।
या यस सर
हाँ हाँ, ठीक है, ठीक ठीक है। चलिए हम लोग आगे बढ़ते हैं अभी। सो वी विल नाउ गो अहेड विथ द थर्ड पावर दैट केम इन कॉन्फ्लिक्ट विथ संभाजी। संभाजी हैड कॉन्फ्लिक्ट विथ मुगल, द मेजर पावर दैट वी हैव डिस्कस्ड फर्स्ट, and then one European power, that is Portuguese. And Siddhis, I remember, I told you Siddhis, reference to Siddhis have came already in our lecture so far, that those were the people who came from Abyssinia, African country, and when the Sultanate was established, during the period of Sultanate, during the medieval period, there was a very flourishing, extensive slave trade. European people as well as Arab, they used to raid this African coast and capture large number of black people and then sell them in the market. Many times those black people are sold by their own heads. They were captured and sold and in return of certain money or exchange of certain, certain goods. So these African slaves were quite in demand because they were physically very strong and tenacious, and they were employed extensively during the Sultanate period as well as during the Mughal period later on. Now, these black people, they came to India during the Sultanate period initially as slave, but gradually their number grew as large number of slave came and they came here, and because of their capability, many of them were released from slavery. For example, as back as Razia's time. Razia's time is 1100 and 1236 to 1240 AD. Yakut was one of the black slave, and he was, from his slave, from his status as a slave, he rose to the high position as becoming one of the important commander. And it is believed that Razia treated him as very favorably, and which was not liked by Turk, who considered themselves as racially superior than the black Negro black slave, and that became one of the important reasons for her downfall. Even there are rumors that she was in love with that Yakut. What I'm trying to point out you here is that these black people, because of their capability, they rose to the very high position. But nevertheless, they were considered as inferior by the Turk and Persian. And these black people gradually they form a huge circle, and they did not remain confined to Delhi, but they percolated to almost all over India, and the Indian kings and Indian sultan. In Deccan, there was a Bahamani Sultanate, and that Bahamani Sultanate was later on break into the different faction. So this Bahamani Sultanate, they also employed these black people, and these black people, as they came from Abyssinia, they were called Hafshis. Now, as they settled here, they had their children, and generations grew, and many of them have never seen Africa, in fact. But as because of their color and because of their peculiar appearance as an African people, they were commonly referred as Habshis, in the Persian language, in the Urdu, in Hindi, and in Marathi, they were generally referred as Habshi. It is a mispronunciation of Abyssinian, in fact. So Habshis, and the area, so they served in the different Sultanate of Deccan, but they made one place very special, very very peculiar stronghold of these Habshi people, and that is a fort of Zanjira. And this fort of Zanjira lies, in on the near in the sea, very close to the western coast, around 145 mile of the south. And this Zanjira fort is one of the strongest fort in India, and it have a history that it was never conquered in its existence. Number of people, Shivaji, Sambhaji, they tried to conquer that fort. Now, I felt very curious about this fort since the time when I was student, and I felt very curious about the power of Siddhis. How could they could defy the power of Marathas when the Marathas became such a supreme military power from 1720 onwards. But nevertheless, they submitted to Marathas. But Jazeera could not be owned by the Marathas. So, but the Siddhis, they remain confined to Zanjira. All the coastal fort which were conquered by Siddhis coming from their fort Zanjira were conquered by Marathas, and Siddhis finally submitted to Marathas. But that happened much after the period we are discussing now. But every fort have its own history. Forts, they change hand. Like in case of Zanjira, we have cities on the behalf of Nizam Shah of Ahmednagar conquering that town, conquering that island from the fisherman king, and Koli, and then making constructing a fort, and then later on, the Nizam Shahi, it ceased to exist. Its territory was divided between Adil Shahi and Mughal, and this fort went to Adil Shah. But later on, as Adil Shah was not able to pay attention, this fort Siddhis, they later on shifted their loyalty to Mughal, and then under the instigation of Mughal, they continue to Siddhis, they continue to fight against Sambhaji. So I have downloaded a small documentary film of around 18-19 minutes, that is on the fort of Zanjira. We will see that. First I'll start it on my laptop, and if you are able to hear it, just let me know. Otherwise, if you are not able to hear it properly, it's not proper, then there is no point. Just a minute. Are you able to see it without interruption? Yes. I pause it now, but could you see that without interruption, and could you hear the sound? Yes, Alia.
Yes, sir.
So okay, okay. I'll start it once again.
Yes, sir. It's visible and clear.
Zanjira was a very important fort because it was based just off the mainland. It was not vulnerable to attack from the land, nor was it really vulnerable to attack from the sea. It also sat in the middle of the western Indian coastline, thereby controlling all movements of coastal shipping that happened all the way from Bharuch and Daman all the way down to Bangalore. It also was the place where a number of traders came from Africa, from the Middle East, and from Europe eventually. They traded in all kinds of luxury goods, ivory, gold, silks, and most importantly, they traded horses. Horses, as we know from the 12th century, have been imported by successive regimes in India. And somehow, you could never breed horses in India. And there had to be a continuous supply of horses from the Middle East. Jinjida was in a good place to control this kind of trade. It was therefore strategically important, militarily important, and eventually important because of its connection to Africa. This connection was that the fort of Janjira from the 1500s onwards was controlled by a group of ethnic Africans called the Siddis. While I'm unsure of the reasons as to why the Siddis decided to settle down in large numbers through the 16th century and 17th century.
Ali, are you facing any problem?
So the audio is not clear.
Audio is bit
Like I cannot understand.
it is slow. I mean, can you use your earphone, please? Will that be better?
So I'm using the earphone. Actually, I cannot interpret the words. It's not clear.
Yeah, okay. But is it coming smoothly? I mean, is it interrupting in between the video?
No, sir, the video is not interrupting.
Okay, okay. Actually, audio quality is bit low in the clip itself. Let us see for some more time. If you don't make any sense, then we'll stop it. Huh?
Okay. So you can upload this video on our Google Classroom. We can also watch it once after class.
Okay, will that be better?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, fine, fine. Then we will go ahead with our class. I'll upload this. But do see this. This is
Yes,
very
sir,
very. Huh?
sir, we can give you the review of the video in the next class then.
Okay, okay, fine, fine. I'll upload this. I'll do that. Just hold on. Well, then we'll go ahead with our PPT. Can you see PPT now?
Yes, sir.
Well, okay, fine. So
सर
yes,
सर वो किस चीज का वीडियो था?
वो जो फोर्ट है ना, जंजीरा फोर्ट के बारे में मैं अभी बताऊंगा आपको. जंजीरा फोर्ट वाज द मेन सेंटर ऑफ सिद्दी's पावर with which Sambhaji had conflict, and that is what is the topic of discussion today, Sambhaji and Siddi conflict, right?
Okay, okay, sir. Yes, sir.
So Zanjira Fort is a very important. It has played very important role in the history of Siddis. ये थोड़ा PPT में भी उसके फोटो मैंने डाले हैं आपको. मैं बताऊंगा आपको. ठीक है ना? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, as I told you, this Siddis, they came from Abyssinia, and the area which was under their control, this Zanjira Fort in the Arabian Sea, 145 around 145 kilometers south of Bombay, and the surrounding area like Murud, Nandgaon, Mandle, Srivardhan, Gowde, around 325 square miles of area, and this area was known as Hapsan. Hapsan is an area which was under the control of Habshis. Abyssinian are mispronounced as Habshi, and among the Habshis, these Habshis, they spread in the many. They were working in the court of many Indian kings, but among the Habshis, people who were staying at Zanzibar and surrounding area, they came to be known as Siddis. And Sabasad, in Sabasad Bakar. The Bakar writer Krishnaji Ananta Sabasad writes that the position of Siddhi in relation to Maratha is like having a mouse in the house. So you do lot many things outside, but if you have a mouse in the house, that mouse will do go on doing certain damage, and you will be helpless. Same thing happened between Siddhi and Marathas. Siddhi very close to the Maratha territory. The Shivaji came in conflict, in contact with Siddhi's territory when he conquered northern Konkan, and that is how the conflict have started. Sabasad also mentioned it is like having disease in your stomach. Siddhi was that kind of troublesome, and we see that during the relation that Sambhaji had with Siddhi, he was constantly a troublemaker for Sambhaji. And this is a fort. You see this fort here in the middle of the ocean, on an island, and having this is called buruj, a large number of buruj. And if you just go around in a boat around this fort, it's very difficult to find out the entry point. Entry point is made in such a way that there is only one single entry point, and if this single entry point is guarded by cannon, for example, if you have cannon here on the top and guard this entry point, it becomes very difficult for anybody to get inside. And similarly, this water, you see, this is the mainland. Are you able to see this? Make it clear, Alia?
Sir, the image is clear.
Well, okay. So this is the mainland, and from mainland to this Zanjira Island is around 500 meters. That is a half kilometer, and this water is very shallow. So you cannot bring a large ship here, and this water is also very shallow. For example, you cannot attack from this side by bringing large ship. You have to come in small boat if you want to have access to this Zanjira fort. And the small boat, if the small boat will carry very few number of people, maybe 40, 50, 20. So this 20 people, they can be easily shot down from this wall. This is a very 40 to 50 feet high wall, and everywhere you have cannon mounted, and that is how it was very, very difficult to conquer this fort. No, nobody could conquer it. This is I'll show you the small. You see, this is a small entrance here. Zanjira is also called Murud Zanjira Fort because the place is having double name, Murud and Zanjira. Murud is a place very, very close to Zanjira Fort on the coast, so combinedly it is called Murud Zanjira. So you see, this is a small entrance, and the boat has to come here up to here. And if the boat is coming up to here, and if you have cannon mounted, you can just shoot down anybody who is trying to approach you or trying to attack the fort. That is how the fort was made very safe. So the Siddhi, on behalf of Nizam Shah Ahmadnagar, they conquered this fort, and later on they became servant of Adil Shah and later on of the Mughal. Shivaji, when he conquered Konkan, he also tried to conquer Zanjira, but he failed. Zanjira could not be conquered because of the different reason that I have told you. But to keep Siddhi under control, he constructed a fort called Sindhudurg near, not very far away from Zanjira, and he built a strong navy as well. So Siddhi's power was curtailed; it could not grow. This kept Siddhi confined to the small area, and then Shivaji also conquered a nearby two island, Khanderi and Underi. These are the two island near to Zanjira, and on Underi, Shivaji constructed a fort in 1678. Well, and this Underi fort was such that any ship that has to go to Bombay will have to pass through this Underi fort, and that ship will be within the range of the cannons that is mounted on the fort. So you can control the sea trade if you have cannon. Like the Siddhis of Zanjira used to control a lot of sea trading around that activities. He was forcing the people to pay him ransom money, otherwise he will not allow the ships to go ahead. Now there is a peculiar relationship between Siddhis and British. See, what happened is when the British, along with any as many other European power, as they came to India for doing business, they established their factories at different places. Factories used to be places where they used to store their imported goods to be sold in the Indian market, as well as the goods that is to be exported to England and Europe. So they opened factory at Surat. Now Surat was coming under the territory of Mughal, and they have taken permission from Mughal to conduct business in the Mughal territory. So they were under the obligation of Mughal. Now this island of Bombay, they which was given to them. If you remember, we have discussed about island of Bombay little bit when we were discussing about Portuguese. It was in fact the Portuguese island, but Portuguese gave it to British as a dowry, as one of the Portuguese princes got married to the prince from England. And as Bombay Island came to British, British gave it to East India Company for doing business, and East India Company was having a more important office at Surat, more important factory at Surat, and Bombay was just developing. So we have British station at Surat, British station at Bombay, but the British station at Bombay has to listen to the British stationing at Surat, because that was a major place and where the East India Company's official was higher ranking. But now the problem was that Bombay was very close to Maratha territories, Maratha power was on expansion, and Surat was in the territory of Mughal. So if there is a conflict between Mughal and Marathas, these people felt drawn, in which direction we should be going. So Surat, people of Surat, they were not the British at Surat, they were not in a way willing to antagonize the Mughal emperor, the strongest power in India that time. And the British at Bombay, they feared that if we go against Marathas, the probably Marathas will destroy us, they will attack Bombay. And we will find that that is affecting in Siddhi's relationship as well, because Siddhi was the person who accepted the sovereignty of Mughal. He was in service of Mughal, and during the rainy season, when the sea is not, it is not suitable for the seafaring. You cannot sail in the sea because of the rain and constant storm coming. So Siddhi used to take shelter. He will keep his the ship has to be kept in the harbor. So what Siddhi will do during the rainy season, generally he will bring his ships near to Bombay port and harbor his ships there. And after stationing his ships there, he will not just stay quiet, but making Bombay as a base, he will attack Maratha territory, loot the people, burn the villages, carry away the people in slavery and sell them. So that became Siddhi's activities became an important point of conflict between the Marathas on the one hand and the British on the other hand. And the British at Bombay were always at a loss how to deal with this problem, because if they take strong action against Siddhi, the probably that will antagonize the Mughal emperor, and British at Surat are not going to support them. But if they continue to support Siddhi, probably the Marathas may attack Bombay and the Bombay will be destroyed. So we always find this conflict affecting the relationship of these three power. There is entanglement of Marathas, Siddhis and British. Well, now, as let us go back to Shivaji's activities. So Shivaji has conquered these two small islands, Khanderi and Underi. But Siddhi Kasam, the naval commander of Siddhi, uh, he conquered Underi, but Khanderi remained with the Marathas, and jointly British and Siddhi they fought against Shivaji. But British they got afraid of Shivaji's power now, because they were trader and their power was very small, and Shivaji's power was on the rise. He also built a big navy. So British, they sent their representative, and then they had an agreement with Shivaji. British representative also attended Shivaji's coronation ceremony. And after the discussion, the agreement has reached between Shivaji and the British. And according to this agreement, British and Siddhi naval forces, they will withdraw from all that area which was under the Maratha control. And if Siddhi is not willing to withdraw, for example, Siddhi may say that I am not a servant of British, I am not under an obligation to listen to the British. I am servant of Mughal. So if Siddhi takes that kind of stand, then the British will stop giving any help to Siddhi. Shivaji's representative will be kept at Bombay along with 10 more people, and they will monitor if the Britishers are following the treaty, like not to help Siddhi mainly. Uh, Next is British should not allow anyone in Bombay who is an enemy of the Marathas. British should also ask to release Maratha prisoner of war. During that war and during that conflict, large number of Marathas were made captive by Siddi, and the British should pressurize Siddi to release these Marathas. And Siddi should not be allowed in the fort near Bombay. His ships should not be allowed to come near Bombay, because again that will become a trouble point. Siddi will again start launching attack on the Maratha territory, and Daud Khan, who was Siddi commander, who has created a lot of destruction in Shivaji's territory, shall be expelled from the Bombay Island. But after this agreement, Shivaji did not survive for a very long period. Within 2-3 years of signing of this treaty, Shivaji died. But during Shivaji's attack on the Mughal territory, a factory at Rajapur, that is a British factory, was burned, and the British during Shivaji's time itself were pressing for the compensation. They said, "Ki we are a trader. We are not anyway involved in the conflict. So you should give us back the compensation for burning of the factories." Shivaji delayed it, and Sambhaji also went on delaying it, because he wanted to see how that agreement that has reached between British and Shivaji are being followed by the British. So this I have told you. Siddi usually he took shelter in Bombay, British at Bombay and British at Surat. That is over. This is Sambhaji or the Maratha. This is over. Sambhaji British. Well, now Sambhaji was dealing it, and then he found out the Marathas officer and Sambhaji, they generally observe that British are not checking the activities of Siddi. Siddi is still continuing to take shelter during rainy season at Bombay, and making Bombay as point, making Bombay as a safe place. He continues to raid the Maratha territory, and certain Maratha ships were captured during the conflict between Siddis and Marathas. And at Bombay, Siddi carried out an auction of these ships. These ships were sold to the highest bidder, and this was obviously the Marathas and somebody interpreted that this is not possible until unless he have a support of the British. Now the Britishers, they were themselves were troubled by Siddhis, because Siddhi's behavior was quite arrogant, and he used to create trouble for the people at Bombay as well. But the Britishers many times they felt helpless because he was supported by the Mughal. But the Marathas from their side, they interpreted that British themselves are in league with Siddhi. But now Sambhaji, he put a lot of pressure on the British. He said we will attack, otherwise the British ship, and the Britishers they stopped giving some any help to Siddhi. Siddhi was hard pressed because during the rainy season it is very difficult for him to go into the sea with all his ships. So he needed shelter at Bombay. So, but then he agrees with the Britishers that, "Oh, I'm not okay, fine. I'm not going to attack the Maratha territory." And then he takes his ships little outside Bombay. Doesn't sail into the open sea. That will be very risky during the monsoon. And now, Khanderi Island, it remained with Marathas, but Underi Island was conquered by Siddhi, and Marathas thought of conquering this island because strategically Underi was very important to control the naval traffic to Bombay. On 18 August 1680, 200 Marathas in the night they entered into Underi Island. They went through small boat and entered into Underi Island. But Siddhi was ready and alert. He defeated these Marathas and killed a large number of them. And then he cut the head of 80 prisoner that the Maratha prisoners. And then he carried this head in his ship to Bombay. And he had a plan that in Bombay on the sea coast, I will display this head. I'll put it on the spear and display it as a mark of my victory against Marathas. But this is in a way this is a very cruel act. You are displaying the head of cut off head that you have cut off, and you are carrying it from one place to another place and displaying it to the people. Britishers they did not allow this to happen, and the British at Surat they were also upset at this cruelty of Siddhi. And then they instructed to the British at Bombay that you should cultivate, the friendly relationship with Sambhaji. But they also advised that you should be diplomatic, make friendly relationship with Sambhaji, but also try that the Mughal are not turning against us. And Sambhaji, he complains to Britishers that the treaty that British have signed with my father, with Shivaji, is not being followed. You are, until unless you drive away Siddi from Bombay, you will not get compensation for that factory that is burned during the war between Mughals and Marathas. So, in order to put pressure on British, Sambhaji, he gathers a lot of Maratha forces near Rajapur, and now among the Siddis they had certain conflict among themselves. So some of the Siddis they joined Marathas, and one of them was Daulat Khan. Daulat Khan, earlier he fought against the Marathas, but because of the conflict he now joins Marathas, and Marathas took him in the service because he was an expert naval commander. Under him, Sambhaji hoped that my navy will be developed. And Daulat Khan was the Maratha commander, and the British now feared that probably Sambhaji and the Marathas they will attack Bombay. And they open a negotiation. So after the negotiation, now though we are discussing Sambhaji Siddi relationship, the British will invariably come, because these three power they have a kind of entanglement. So for negotiation, Sambhaji sent his vakil called named Avji Pandit to Bombay, and under the pressure of Marathas, as there was a presence of Maratha vakil, the Britishers they put pressure on Siddi, and Siddi was forced to take away his ships from Bombay. And Britishers they now clearly told to Siddi that if you continue to raid Maratha territory, you will not be given shelter in Bombay. And but though Siddis he took away his ships from Bombay, his forces at Underi and Mazgaon they continued to attack the Maratha territory and Maratha ships and carrying away the Maratha people. Now, Underi Island that was attacked by Marathas, that attack was not successful. Significant number of Marathas were slain by Siddhi, and Sambhaji and Marathas they make another attempt in 1681 in July. On 18 July, they collected forces as Nagotana, and now Sambhaji was somehow determined to crush Siddhi's power. So, to encourage his soldier, he pays advance salary of 6 months to his soldier, and also he promises that the huge amount of gold will be given to the commander who successfully conquers Siddhi, fight against him and defeats him. Uderi was again attacked by Marathas, and there was a very fierce battle fought for almost 4 hours. And at the end of this battle, Siddhi managed to repulse Maratha attack. A large number of people died on the both the side. Maratha loss was much more, because Siddhi was an expert. Siddhis were the expert people. They knew how to safeguard their forts in the island, and Marathas they became unsuccessful again, and they have to withdraw. Now Siddhi he became quite bold. He, in any case, general behavior of Siddhis and those that seafaring people was like pirates. They loot the people, and seeing the chance, Siddhi now started troubling British as well. He started demanding money, and as he was not given money by the Britishers, he vandalized the dockyard at Bombay. He created certain damage, and the British now ordered that no British should help him, no British should take service under Siddhi. Um, but still, Marathas they continue to believe that British they are in alliance with Siddhi, and they captured certain British ship. And now, when the British promised that they will no longer help Siddhi, some of the British ship were released. But Siddhi was a person who was not able to, who could not be cowed down by the Marathas as well as by the British, as he had support of the Mughal. He continued to have an aggressive policy against Marathas, continue to raid their territory, continue to carry the people and burn the villages. He looted and burned the place Nagothana, Apte, and Chaul, and he also captured certain people. Now, Sambhaji thought of a plan of attacking the main center of Siddhi now, that is the Zanjira Fort. Zanjira Fort, as I have shown you certain pictures, having a very high 50 feet high wall, very difficult to sail. And now Marathas they plan one conspiracy. There was a person called Kondaji Farzad, and this Maratha, he said, ki, okay, I'll go and take service under Siddhi. Siddhi had certain Marathas under his service. I'll go and take service under Siddhi, and seeing a chance, I'll burn his artillery. You know where the cannonballs and all that escaped. So if I burn his artillery store, Siddhi's power will be weakened, and you can then attack from the land, because Siddhi's power, he was protected by the cannons on the fort. Anybody sailing coming closer to the fort through the medium of the boat, as large ships cannot go there. Usually large ships will be having a cannon mounted. So you can, if you can take large ship near to any fort, you can bombard that fort with the big cannon on your ship. But small boats will obviously not have any big cannon. The small boats are not strong enough to carry the big cannon. So so that is a problem again, fighting against anybody who is holding Zanjira. This person Kondaji Farzad, he enters into service of Siddhi, but he was a foolish person. I mean, he could not keep a guard. He During those time, there was a slave trade. Women were sold in slavery. So he purchases one woman, and he stays with her on that fort. And then he divulges his secret to that woman. And he tells her that I'm spy of Maratha Sambhaji, and I'm going to blast this Siddhi's artillery go down. And this woman, in return of some money, she goes and divulges the secret to Siddhi. So Siddhi captures this Kondaji Farzad, and then he is killed. And along with him, certain Marathas who were also, who went there for helping Kondaji Farzad in his conspiracy, they were also killed. So that plan of Sambhaji has proved to be failure. But nevertheless, Sambhaji, he now prepares with a huge army, around 20,000 soldiers. Well, okay. I think time is going to be up. In 5 minutes, it is saying our meeting is going to end. So I'll just wrap up now, and next further we'll continue in the next class. So we have seen today how who were Siddhis, Abyssinian. They came from Africa, and how they become pretty strong here, and in the service of Nizam Shah, then Adil Shah, and then. Then in the service of Mughal, and they fought against Shivaji, they fought against Sambhaji, could not be conquered. Well, today I am in the department, and I don't have attendance register, so I'll just take your attendance. Only 4 people are there.
No, sir, there were more.
It seems that many of them have left. Asia, Alia, Bishwajit. Huh?
7 people are there, sir.
7 people are there. Well, I can see Alia, Asiya, and Vishwajit, and Lalthan Pui. Well, anybody else is there? Okay, I think I should stop sharing. Then I will be able to see you. Yes. Okay. Alia, Vishwajit, Asiya, Lalthan Pui. Praful is there. Praful, Shalini, and Swati. Well, okay. So I'll put that video. There are a number of videos on Zanjira, because Zanjira is a fort which had always, captivated the imagination of historian. And you can see, take little more interest in history. You may find it more fascinating. Okay, then have a nice day. Anything else from your side?
No, sir.
Okay, okay then. Bye. Take care.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
thank you.